Another chance, another way, another dance. Today I'll be discussing to you all about, continuation of what I've been going over in regards to like blogs and stuff. So, obviously last time I introduced the concept, of the blog templates that we end up seeing, So yeah, that's what I was going over. Right now, I'm going to be going over, pretty much like the changes that were made, to our blogs, to our views, to pretty much everything that we had. So I did remember, something called like Express. That's gonna be something that we're gonna be going over now. So before I go any further, I have to like introduce my navigator, and his name is Savas, and he's gonna be navigating my videos. So Savas, welcome, and thank you for actually agreeing to like navigate my videos. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna have to be thanking you for. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to this and let's go. So as you can see, we got our variables express, module, for our express module, right? Use to import modules, JSON, and other files. So, so this is pretty much the Express app that we have, the path that we've got. This provides utilities for working with file and directory paths can be accessed using import path, node path. This is from like the node modules. Provides utilities for like working with files and directory paths, right? Then we got new Express, create Express application. This application is the Express function is top level function exported by the Express module. They require use to import modules, JSON, local files, and then we got gonna set out an app engine for our app. Then we got our get app, that'll get responses. This actually, has our, path, the URL path for each and every page that we visit. Then result render with a short name about. So this about all these names are from our views, right? All of them. But we gotta be making use of render to bring them in, and then we got a server as well. That's what we have. And then the key takeaway from this lesson is pretty much its fixation on the change from using HTML to using EJS, which I'm gonna go over now. So that's pretty much the key takeaway from that. So templating engines. So templating engines help us dynamically render HTML pages and contracts, just having fixed static pages, which in the earlier chapters gave us a problem that we had to duplicate the nav bar code for site pages. So we will refactor our app to use templating engines that allows us to abstract our app into different layout files so that we don't repeat the common code. It still serves the same HTML file as before. So obviously, in our chapter 3, for our index in chapter 3, what we did was we repeat the code here, even though we already had it in our public file. As you can see here, post.html, but we had to repeat it here with post.html again. Now, for example, you got post.ejs. Now you don't have to write post.js and take the part that this that the views pretty much make use of within the app. You don't have to repeat that. Just have to put post and that's it. The name of the URL part that the name of the page that you can be making use of in that URL, and that'll be it. So that's what this book's speaking on. But we'll be using your EJS, which stands for Embedded JavaScript, which is one of the more popular templating engines and made by the people who create Express. So that's what you can be making use of. So as you can see here, you render about, get request handlers with render for about contact post routes. So as you can see, the key takeaway here is, transforming everything that we have from HTML to EJS or embedded JavaScript. So we got about.ejs, contact.ejs, index.ejs, post.ejs, layouts, footer, header.ejs, navbar.ejs, scripts.ejs. And so on and so forth. So you got our CSS for everything that you've got, you know what I mean? So on and so forth. Then we got so as you can see, we got our images, right? So that's CSS, our mail, right? A public folder, which now only has our vendor, JS image, and CSS. All the stuff that you could be making use of, for our pretty much for like our pretty much for the aesthetic enhancements or site enhancements for you know front end or client side. Then you got our views as well, footer. The footer being like the bottom of our a blog, copy your website 2020. The header, being the top of it, header, which is like, clean blog, the API, the custom fonts for this template, super clean blog start bootstrap theme. Our navbar, the navbar that we have here, home about sample post context start bootstrap, the nav, and then scripts. So that nav actually, fun fact, that nav actually collapses, once the screen gets minimized, it actually collapses on itself, which I'll show you now when we start debugging of client side, right? And then we got our index. Let's go over to our index. Now the index that we have here, right? Oh my goodness. Okay.
Just hang on a second.
No
Yeah,
problem. So as you can
boss.
right, so yeah, it's debugging now. It's gonna debug now. What? Come on now. It's gonna debug. Let me unshare now just to hasten the process. So as you can see, my local is working now. My local is working. So as you, so you know, got my variables. Okay, let me go step into my app.use express. Where's that static? Right, app.listen 4000. 4000. So that's my actual ecstatic folder. So the ecstatic folder I have is what you see here. Real app functions. So that's my ecstatic folder. And then yeah. And then yeah. Same old, same old. As you can see here, you know, all the posts. That doesn't connect into anything for now. So you got home, about. So as you can see here, same thing as before. Except you're using render now. And we're also using EJS instead, embedded JavaScript instead as well. So render now. So EJS is more flexible in the sense that it allows us to be loose with our reference of it. You know what I mean? Instead of like, typical HTML, which is pretty much static in the sense that, you have to refer to the whole app path that you make use of, whole path that you make use of in our app in order for it to work. So you can just refer to the name that you're gonna be using in our URL, and that'll be it. Right? And here, then you got about me. Right? So this is what I do. You gotta learn Ipsum. Then you got my sample post. Man must explore and exploration at its greatest. Probably look mighty small from 150 miles up. Right? Then you got a whole paragraph, by reaching for the stars. And that's on the comments, space Ipsum, the final frontier. It's just a whole, paragraph of stuff. And then you got our contacts. name, address, then hello. And as you can see here, there's nothing wrong with it, but you know that's where it takes us. We don't actually have a URL, for this part of what we're dealing with. So yeah, so you've got 304, which means everything's not modified. CSS, all our CSS is modified. So as you can see here, the menu, our nav bar actually collapsed because the screen got minimized, as I spoke to you about earlier on. And as you can see, there's no throttling. Right, so nothing got throttled because we got unlimited data, uncapped, so we're not gonna run low on data. So throttling is when you have to slow down the amount of data that actually gets turned to info because your internet connection can't keep up because you run low on data. So you don't need that. So this amount of time that takes to process everything that we need to process. So as you can see here, these bars, are indicative of what type of stuff you've got or what type of stuff you're processing. So 5 bars here indicate that there are five, stuff that are being processed through the system. That one, five, six, seven, eight is indicative of all the five apps that are being processed. Also indicative of what type of apps are being processed or how many are being processed. So that's what we're dealing with here. Sample post. And then your post sample image. So it'll be jQuery.min.js. And so as you can see here, we got our JPG, and then we got our JavaScript, and then we got our contacts as well. Sorry if I'm sound like I'm tweaking, but yeah. So as you can see, 200, that means everything's okay. 304, nothing's been modified. 200, obviously that means 200 means something has been modified, but it's okay. 304, nothing has been modified. You can't modify like JavaScript. Contact that JPG, 304, that means not modified, JPEG. Then you got to contact me, right? And then, we got our Mongoid. We got our MongoDB server running in the background, and then we've also got our database as well. And then yeah, further down the line, you know, in the chapters that we can be working with down the line, right? we're pretty much gonna be connecting to our database.
Okay.
But that'll be for like another lesson at the end of the day down the line, not now. Because at the end of the day, we haven't got to the part where we'll be able to like create, users yet. So it's kind of so MongoDB Compass is kind of useless for mine this era. It's just a warning that says, this the version that we are making use of for our servers out of date, but still working. So that's good enough for me. So yeah,
Yeah.
for now, we won't be getting into that because we haven't created our create yet, which we're gonna do just now. But yeah, that's what pretty much what happened. So yeah, I mean, anything else on your side?
No, nothing else from my side. Thanks.
Right. I think very much Navigator for navigating my work. Until next time, take care of this, and I will see you for
Okay.
chapter 5. Thanks.